Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 5 of the Not Quite Serious podcast. I'm Leon, and with me, as always, my co-host, Dan.
Hello there. Can't believe you're back.
Yep, wasn't very well last time, but luckily we had a suitable stand-in, so I just want to thank Ekidami for standing in as the second host, because it just wouldn't be the same with just one host. So thanks very much.
And as always, we're back with all the amazing categories we've had.
Well, it's getting better every week, I think.
We're going forward. It's probably going to be trying to morph wrestling into entertainment as a whole.
Instead of, it's easier than trying to dredge up a wrestling topic every week.
Yes, I'm not the most insider when it comes to that. And at the end of the day, I just end up repeating ad verbatim a news story that I read from the same source every week.
Yeah, we've got a good list of topics going for every week at the moment. I think it should be pretty decent. Hopefully, and hopefully reasonably entertaining.
Speaking of pure entertainment, I've brought along some tasty food treats for this fortnight.
Yeah, indeed you have, and I'm going to join you this time.
Oh my goodness!
Because I have the same thing that you have brought.
That's right.
Or at least one of the items, anyway.
For the food this time round, I've brought some Shaken Udder Discover Delicious Dairy. Now, if you're listening to the podcast and you're wondering what that looks like, you can check that out on our YouTube channel. It's a little from the podcast video. It'll come out later today, maybe tomorrow. And yeah, you'll be able to see me and hear good old Leon's opinion as he drinks the same product.
Yeah, I've decided to try and coordinate with Dan a little bit this week so I can give my opinion as well.
Of course, if you've
going forward, I imagine. Go on.
If you've just seen this video and you're thinking, "Whoa, this podcast sounds amazing," and you'd be right. You could come on over and listen to this podcast. For now, it's just a separate video on the YouTube, but it's gonna pop up somewhere eventually.
Yeah, eventually we'll get it on a podcast service somehow.
So let's charge on.
But for now, it's just
delicious Shaken Udder.
So we've got Shaken Udder, and this is salted caramel made with Malden sea salt.
Sea salt, eh? Does that make it more salty?
No, it's just salt. It's just made with it's just made with a specific brand of salt. So if you really like the taste of this, you know where to get that salt.
See on the back here it says love the udder, 50% of your recommended intake of calcium
per bottle. Yeah, so
you drank 2 of these, that'd be just right. Drank 3 of them, probably gonna get cancer. I don't know.
Do you drink 2 of these though? I imagine you've had far too much sugar. So how much sugar does this contain?
Yes,
probably quite a lot. Yes.
Let's crack it open. I don't think there's anything else to learn off this bottle.
No, shake to awake. It says on the back. Give it a shake.
That's a valid point. Valid point indeed.
It is a milkshake, so you got to give it a shake.
There we go.
That smells pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's kind of it smells thick. I don't know why, but I associate that smell with thickness. It's a sort of sweet smell.
I think I know what you're getting. It smells like a milkshake. It smells caramelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it smells nice and caramelly. But what's it taste like?
You get on this, but that won't be. Where is that?
Oh yeah. It must be under the label.
Yeah.
There's a There's
I
the
don't,
cut line on the label.
I don't
So
like entering codes online. I really prefer to enter these codes. I mean, just to see whether I've won or not on the wrapper. Entering the code online basically just means I'm selling my email address details to the spam lists for free.
well, you can actually peel the label quite easily.
Ah.
I'm going to see if the code is under the label. It is. It's under the label. Well, that was pointless.
Disintegrated. Didn't even get. Oh, I got half of the code. You guys at home can enter half of that code with your chance to win.
Hey, they've actually molded the name of the drink into the plastic around the rim there.
Ah.
Yeah.
So they have, kind of like what you get on milk bottles, actually. So
Yeah, it does look like a little milk bottle. Anyway, we're just messing now, so let's actually try the drink.
Screen. Go on then. Let's have some delicious milk.
Mm.
Yeah, it really.
Ooh,
hits home,
that's very sweet.
You just get a big heady caramel chunk there.
It is very caramelly.
It's not like as thick as a McDonald's milkshake. They've not filled it with that weird gum starch stuff they use to thicken.
No, this is basically flavored milk rather than milkshake.
There's maybe a tad of it. There's some thickness to it, but not.
It's slightly thickened, yeah. That is very, very, very sweet, and I think that's thanks to the salt. It's actually it's bringing out the sweetness like it does in your ordinary, well, like it does in salted caramel.
Yeah,
there's a hint of the
salty.
There's a hint of that salt flavour in the sweetness. Definitely.
It's not bad, but for £1.35, I think these cost.
Yeah, they're about about 140, something like that.
It's a little bit pricey for some chocolate milk.
Caramel milk.
Oh, yeah,
Get it right.
Caramel milk. I'm not totally sold on it myself.
It's
okay.
very nice, but maybe if it were just a flat pound rather than £1.40.
Yeah, I could probably get behind it for £1, I suppose. I think price.
I'll give it a thumb.
I'm gonna give it a thumbs down. It's not quite good enough to tide me over. And this is fresh from the fridge. That's the best way to have milk.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it well enough. I mean, if it goes on offer for £1, then I'd give it a thumbs up. But yeah, I can't recommend it for the price.
Yeah. So, looks like it's one thumbs up and one thumbs down. That kind of breaks even on the old milk department.
Yeah, it's like a couple of sideways. It's like a sideways thumb.
Yeah, one sideways thumb. But to help move things along, I got some orange Linda here. It just says Linda, irresistibly smooth, with the word orange on the side. It's long, tall, and thin. That kind of thick wrapper, kind of chunky.
Yeah, these the Lindor bars are really good. I've eaten the regular ones before, but never an orange one.
It's 38 grams of the stuff. I'll just pop right into this. Now, price-wise, I reckon these set you back about £1, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think the milk ones tend to go for about 80p. Maybe the orange one's the same or a bit more. I don't know. I don't actually have an orange one. I can't join you on this one.
I did have the receipt and everything, but yep, forgot to grab it.
Never mind. I know the milk ones go for 80p, but
smells just like Terry's chocolate orange, actually.
Oh. It should have that smooth filling that a Lindor has, though.
I'll crack one off and do a closer look. At the minute, it's kind of like the moussey kind of what you get inside an aero kind of thing on the inside. If I break it all the way in half, though, I think. Oh no,
Yeah,
it's kind of a softer but still firm chocolate all the way through.
Lindor tends to have that. It's like that smooth truffle style chocolate.
Yeah, truffle-y
filling.
chocolate is what it looks like.
Mm.
You're right. Go on then. Let's have some Lind. Yeah, it's smooth. And it's chocolatey. It's like eating a Terry's chocolate orange, but it's a bit softer. Not bad. It's a nice hit of orange, that.
It can't be too bad.
Sweet and chocolatey goodness. I reckon I can give that one a thumbs up. It's a pretty nice little snack, that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong with Lindt chocolate. It tends to be pretty top notch. So
That sums up the old food section of the podcast. So I will.
yeah, I don't actually have any food this week apart from the milk that I brought.
I'll hand over to
Maybe
Leon,
next time.
who's going to be having the amazing Beerus Faction section. But if you guys are going to check that out, you're going to have to listen to the rest of the podcast where Leon tries a irresistible beer, or maybe a resistible beer.
It could be resistible. We don't know.
We'll see you on the podcast.
Bye. And for those of you that are still with us, because you are on the podcast,
Rejoined us on the podcast. It is time for, and I'm going to hit the button. Beerus
Hit it.
Faction.
Drink beer, so I can have beer, so I can get my Beerus Faction.
Yeah, Beerus Faction.
that's right. I'm going to get my Beerus Faction.
And what have you got
And
today?
this week, or this episode's Beerus Faction, is a Guinness. And now that might sound very ordinary, but this isn't just any Guinness. This is a 1944 Antwerpen stout, which I've never actually tried before. So I thought I'd give it a go. I do like Guinness.
Antwerpen Stout. That's quite the German name.
Antwerpen, Antwerpen, stout. So we'll see. This is 8% alcohol by volume and comes in a dinky little 330ml bottle.
Oh, it's a pretty strong in that.
Yeah, stronger than normal Guinness. Normal Guinness is about 4.1, 4.2, I think. But, yeah. Let's pop this open. So, I've cracked it open and smells like a stout.
Anything
So,
particularly special about this particular stout smell?
I'm getting slight sort of treacly flavours. I mean, scents from it.
Right time of year, then.
Yeah, there's like a thick treacly smell on this one. Whereas you'd have you get stouts that smell like coffees and chocolates and all sorts of lovely flavours. This one smells warm and treacly, so that's it's nice. Smells very good. Let's pour it into my glass. Ooh, a text message.
That is.
I go,
And how's your stout looking?
well, I just poured it all down my own leg, so bear with me. Okay. I'll continue. I missed the glass with part of the pour. Okay, here we go. It's looking better now. Better now that it's not down my leg. It's, as you'd expect, very dark. It's got a light off-white sort of caramel-coloured head on it. It's quite nice. Nice looking.
Oh, very good.
Having a whiff straight from the glass, yeah, it's got very nice sort of treacle notes in the scent. It's very, maybe sort of, I want to say dark cocoa sort of smell as well. It smells very, very nice. I might as well give it a sip. get my beerist faction on.
Yug that down. Sampling that bit.
Ooh. That does not taste 8% ABV. Not at all.
Yeah, because you normally expect a really rough kind of... a bit of a rough housing when you're drinking 8% beer.
Sometimes I have had beers above about 6 or 7% that have tasted very... they have that sort of strain... I'm not sure how to describe the taste, but it's like that alcoholic tang that you get with certain drinks. But this is really smooth.
Could you forget that it's really strong and just chug loads of it?
I honestly think you could. It has notes of coffee on the taste, but not so much in the nose for me, anyway.
Yeah.
It's like coffee, dark roasted coffee beans, toasty flavors. It tastes it's very much a winter drink. This tastes like.
Yeah, I'd imagine it would have to be with all the treacleness to it.
Yeah, it does have hints of the treacle on the flavour as well. All in all, that's very nice. It tastes it's more craft beer tasting than bog standard Guinness.
And this is made by Guinness.
It's not. Yeah, it is. It's a proper Guinness beer. It's brewed in Dublin, just like Guinness. Actually, it's brewed by the Open Gate Brewery, it says here. So, there you go.
Yeah.
It's very, very nice, yeah. I enjoy that.
What was the rating you were giving to these before?
On my rating, my beerist faction scale of 1 to 10, I'll probably give this 7. It's very nice. I like it.
That's a pretty good
Definitely.
score.
Yeah, it definitely tastes above average to me. I mean, your mileage may vary, but I really like this one. So yeah,
pretty good.
7 out of 10.
Alrighty, moving on.
Okie dokie.
Let's have a look at the games that we've played in our since we've last been here on the podcast.
In my month-long absence.
Well, I'll start, and it's mostly...
Yeah, why don't you go first?
It's mostly the content from Game Geki, that little show I do off on the Gekidami YouTube channel. Yeah.
You're not cross-promoting, are you, Dan?
Absolutely not, because
okay,
Game
that's
Geki
fine.
is for mature audiences, so, you know, if it's a family-orientated YouTube channel, you know...
Obviously, the other host from Game Geki covered for me last week, so it's only fair.
Yeah. And speaking of only fair, well, I played Miscreated, and that game was anything but fair.
So explain Miscreated to me. I've never played this one.
It's a survival horror game. Well, a survival sandbox game where you wander around a large area, avoiding mutants and trying to find food and build a base of some kind.
Okay.
Now, for our playthrough, it was... we always found it very difficult to build a base, because the base building mechanic of it's really cumbersome and slow. I do admit that they've been building up on that game, so every time we come back to it, it's a bit more polished, because it is still in alpha. It's really...
Okay, so it's in early access, is it?
Yeah, it's a really good looking game. At least the environments are nice and lots of bloom and everything, and reflections. Still some iffy bugs here and there, and a few unfinished bits, but less of those since last time we played it a year ago.
Oh yeah, I've just pulled up the Steam store page. It's currently getting mixed reviews, which I presume is part of its the pleasures of being in early access.
90-minute playthrough we did earlier in the week was just us wandering around in a field for 90 minutes. We killed a whole sum total of 3 mutants. I think Geki managed to kill a couple himself, but considering that's all the enemies we found throughout the whole thing, we ran into a few friendly other players that just carried on about their day. But Gekidami did run afoul of some hostile players that gunned him down.
Oh dear.
Seems to be a better mix of players in this game, though, than on other Steam games, such as Rust, which has a completely toxic fan base.
Yeah, that's the reason I don't really get into this kind of game. It's just I don't like playing with randos that are just all...
Yeah, they're just out there to gun you dead.
Yeah, can't be, but I just don't like
But that's the
those
thing about
kinds
those
of,
open-ended games. and
survival
that you
games. Yeah,
kind of play them the way that any way you want, really. And unfortunately, some people's ways don't suit my way.
yeah. I mean, it's fair enough. I mean, it's just that style of game is just not for me, really. You've got to be prepared to be gunned down at any second in that kind of game, haven't you?
Definitely. And speaking of to play with randos, I played the Alien Swarm game as well on Steam. And that game it's pretty much, like a top-down shooter. Maybe a little bit like Loaded or Reloaded.
Okay.
Its difficulty is very ramped up there. Me and Geki couldn't get very far on our own. It seemed like it was designed for 4 players to play. So
right,
just the 2 of us. The enemies just mow through us like no one's business, even on easy mode.
Oh yeah, I think I know Alien Swarm. I recognise this. Again, I'm just looking at it on Steam.
It's nothing extensive. It's like one of those little mini games that you would get given for free on PlayStation Plus kind of caliber.
Yeah, it's an indie game. It's developed by Valve, wasn't it? Alien Swarm came out a few years ago.
It surprisingly has the exact same menu system and HUD as Left 4 Dead 2 does. It's like literally the same menu.
Looking at the details of the development here, that's not actually surprising when you realise it was made by Valve, the creators of Left 4 Dead and Half-Life.
Do you think it was like a little project they just kind of sat on the side and
it's a few years ago. Yeah.
And
probably using...
of course, we've played Left 4 Dead 2, which is the 3rd game in the old game Geki that we played recently. But we only played 1 episode of that thus far. And it's quite the improvement on Left 4 Dead 1. There's lots more weapons.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead 2 is a great game.
Thrown in.
I think Left 4 Dead 2 is the only Left 4 Dead I've actually played before.
It's got nice little storyline bits in the middle of the missions where you're doing objectives for NPCs and things to kind of aid your survival. Whereas the first game was literally just the same mission, but just in a different backdrop. The same 4 characters.
Yeah.
Same 4 enemies. And the same generic zombie mobs coming at you. So it's nice to see something changed up a bit. The first level is as good as the last. It's better than the last level of the first game, which actually had something changed up a little bit, and it had a last boss mechanic.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic game, Left 4 Dead 2. It's a really good example of a co-op shooter.
Looking forward to playing a bit more of that.
Oh yeah.
And I won't go into too much more detail about Left 4 Dead 2 because I'm sure we're going to cover that on Game Geki. The great YouTube show.
It's years since I've played Left 4 Dead 2, so I can't really add much either. But from good game. It's a good game. Well worth playing if anyone out there hasn't played Left 4 Dead 2 by now. It's worth
How about
worth
you
playing.
in gameplay world? You played anything a bit more newer than my ancient stock?
Well, mainly I've been playing the Final Fantasy IX PS4 port, which just came out last week. I want to say this week.
And go on then. How many hours?
I guess it was technically last week because we record this on a Sunday. Only about 6 or 7 so far.
Yeah, right.
I'm not terribly far into it, but I've been playing it a bit. It's essentially the PC version ported to the PS4, which itself was a port of the iOS version, which was a semi-remake, remaster of the PS1 game.
How much of the original remains now after it's been facelifted and body lifted all those times?
Supposedly, a lot of the original assets were lost, and obviously they added touch menus to the iOS version, which then ended up carrying over into the PC version, which is carried over into the PS4 version. So the menus look a little bit off, but it's nothing you don't get used to as you play. It's just that they're quite large menu boxes.
I take it means that it supports the mouse now then on the PC. Well, I guess you don't really concern yourself about that on the PS4, but
I've not played the PC port, so I'm not sure. But I don't know.
So you're scrolling through these giant dobby buttons that are meant to be finger pressed, but with a controller.
Yeah, the buttons are rather large. I mean, I don't mind the look of the buttons. There's a few people not too pleased with the giant buttons, but I don't think there's much Square can do about that because, like I say, supposedly they lost some of the assets, so they can't actually restore the originals. The same things happened with the pre-rendered backgrounds. Well, I don't think the hand-painted backgrounds, they're lower in resolution than they ideally would be because I believe they don't have the original high-quality renders anymore. So they've had to take what they had from the PS1 game and use that instead.
Oh, that's so they were the main selling point of the game to begin with.
It was when it was on the PS1, yeah. So the backgrounds look a little bit muddy, but they look decent enough. They still look nice. They're just not as high res as they could stand to be. Yeah. The character models look A+ now, though. The character models are beautiful. It's just that now they really pop out of the background because they're so much higher quality in the background.
Yes.
They do look really nice, though. Everything 3D is beautiful. It's just that the 2D backgrounds are not as nice as they used to be.
Quite the reversal of fortune from when the game first came out.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. There's a few little quality of life improvements, though, like they've added boosters, similar to how they did for Final Fantasy VII, and the Final Fantasy XII remake on the remaster on the PS4.
Yeah.
So you can boost the speed of the game, which I think it triples all movement in the on the field and in battle. So you can speed the game up to get through any grinding or tedious moments much quicker. You can skip cutscenes now. There's boosters to force your characters to always do 9,999 hit points of damage. Probably again to speed up.
A little bit
I mean, probably again to sort of speed up grinding, or for younger players or players that aren't very good at RPGs, I guess.
What if you were introduced to all these remakes and remasters of the Final Fantasies, and finally you played a brand new one, and you're like, oh, how do I speed up the game then?
I don't know if you'd actually assume that would be a main feature. I don't know, because it's clear that you're buying a remaster of a very old game.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
but there's a few boosters in there. There's one to turn off random encounters, which is nice if you just want to get that treasure chest and you don't want to have to fight 16 flans on the way to do it. And
no, those boosters do sound like the kind of things that could make the game a bit more appealing to me, because I know that those older Final Fantasies were very heavy on the grind.
Final Fantasy IX, I wouldn't say is particularly grindy of a game, but any time that you would consider grinding, you can speed up the process tremendously with the boosters.
And even when I played Final Fantasy
so.
IV back in the old emulator days, I'd speed the game up. So I guess that's just how they're meant to be played.
Well, Final Fantasy IV is quite a difficult game.
So I guess it's
I don't think you particularly need to grind in that, but when you hit that end game, a bit of grinding is almost mandatory, I think.
Right.
When you get to the end game, especially, because that game gets quite difficult towards the end, from what I remember.
I do have a vague recollection. It was years ago, though.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I'd say Final Fantasy IX remake holds up. It's holding up quite well, and you buy it on the PS4, you get a bundle with a nice little theme for the PlayStation 4, which is nice. It's a really nice hand drawn artwork
So they've not
in the theme. So
they've not used horrible low resolution, pixely, muddy text.
No, it's a nice piece of hand drawn artwork in the theme for the PS4. It's pretty good.
Oh.
I like it.
That's very good.
Well, yeah. So, and then other than that, I bought Resident Evil Revelations that was remade for PS4 or remastered for PS4. It's just a port, really, I think.
Oh, yes, you've been into those remakes this last few weeks. Then.
Yeah, I think everything I've bought recently has just been a remake, remaster, or port. So so Revelations plays exactly how you'd expect. It's the same as it does on PC and PS3, except they've added a new map to raid mode. I think I've not sunk my teeth into that yet. I'm still playing the single player, but yeah.
Well, Revelations, was that the one that originally came out on the 3DS?
Yes.
So the game was like a little. It's like it looks modern, but it's like slightly lower quality stuff here and there.
Yeah, it's scrubbed up nicely for the PS4. I have to say, it looks nice. Not as good as the modern Capcom games, but it's scrubbed up well.
I did have the chance to play that on a certain YouTube channel that will go unnamed. And that was it was a nifty little game. Although actually, now that I think about it, I didn't play it. Someone else did, and I just watched and commented on it. So it's just like I was playing it.
No, it's a good game.
Yeah, I reckon
it's fairly long as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite good. I've not played it since
Steam PC version. So
I've not played it since the 3DS really. So it's nice to see it in HD on the PS4 Pro. So plays very smooth, 60 FPS locked.
I like that about these remasters and things. They always make the game the way you remember it, because you always remember things better than they were.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's always good to play these remakes and think, just like I remembered it. And then you play the actual original again, you're like, ugh.
Yeah, I think that happened with like Resident Evil 5. The original version of Resident Evil 5 is you can't play it after playing the PC and PS4 versions. The PS3 and 360 versions of Resi 5 are just they're horrible in sluggish
yeah, so
sub 30 FPS.
It's something that shapes up well.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
I've not really played much else. Oh, speaking of shaping up, LA Noire is being remastered for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch.
LA Noire, which one was
pretty interesting. It was the you play as a police detective, and it's the one with the facial motion capturing, so you can see the tells in people's faces when you're interviewing them. Uncanny.
That sounds
the Uncanny Valley.
Seeing their faces just horribly morph and twist a bit.
It was really sort of really impressive for the time. It's a few years old now, but yeah, really impressive for the time. I'm
So that's
really
getting
interested
the
to see how
remake
that scrubs up.
treatment.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how that works on how that goes on the Switch. It'd be really nice to have a game like that portable.
I look forward to that.
Mm.
Let's see what else we got here on the old schedule. Now, I did mention the entertainment section earlier in the show very briefly. I don't really have anything written here for it, but I will say, just based off our chat on Miscreated earlier in the episode, and about how players get to do what they want, and they can be bad and they mostly shoot people randomly. Well, there was this TV show that aired on. You can get it on Sky Now, I think it's called. It's called Westworld.
Yeah, Now TV.
Now TV. And it's a show called Westworld, which is basically that concept.
I have heard of Westworld, yeah. I've not watched it, though. I don't have Now TV.
It's a 10-episode series about this big theme park full of androids that they're all kind of acting out the Wild West kind of shtick. So imagine this big Wild West, and every person there are androids. They act human a little bit. They basically follow a storyline that they're supposed to loop around, and when they get killed or the story finishes, they just get taken back to the back room, cleaned up, and then brought back out again to start the story again, but with their memories erased, they can't act on the previous storyline. They have the ability to briefly improvise when a human tries to take them off storyline, but then they kind of push the story back to how it's supposed to be very shortly after that. And because these robots are basically they pass the Turing test kind of intelligence, because they're just humans.
So they're basically AIs.
They just continuously get abused by the human guests that come to the park, and there's one character getting killed over and over again. At night, they get picked up by the crew and taken back and scrubbed up and then put back on the theme park again. And it all starts going awry one day as the robots start to get brief, intermittent flashbacks of themselves being murdered, and they're questioning it, but not too sure. And it all kind of spirals out of control from there, kind of thing. I thought it was
sounds like something I should give a watch, actually.
Fun little story about just rich people basically paying to go to this park to kill anyone they come across.
Yeah, I had heard of it, but I didn't really know the premise. But yeah, that does sound like something I should give a bit of a watch.
It's definitely not one for the kids, that's for sure.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
It was kind of Now TV, they kind of said, you enjoyed Game of Thrones, now watch Westworld, kind of thing. And I think they did a good job of trying to pick that one out for me.
It's just like Game of Thrones.
No, it's nothing like Game of Thrones, but still. It's, another one not for the kids.
Yeah. Basically, it's adults only.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound as sexy as Game of Thrones.
There's a reasonable amount of sexiness in it.
Yeah. I guess I'll have to give it a watch at some point and see what I think.
That kind of discussion's beyond the scope of this show.
Well, yeah, we can't go. Yeah. Keep it family friendly.
Keep it PG.
Yes.
Well, that'll do for the entertainment for this week. I've got no particularly massive wrestling news. No Mercy on tonight. And we got Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman. You know, those two big beefy guys I mentioned in a previous episode of the podcast.
Yeah, beefcake match.
And the other one that does suplexes. So it'll be fun to see how that turns out. But moving swiftly on, we'll go into the news part of our podcast.
Yes, what news do we have this episode?
Well,
I was going to say week again. I must get out of that habit.
Literally days after our last podcast, the iPhone X was announced.
It certainly was. Is it the iPhone X or the iPhone 10? We'll never know. It's only
Yeah.
ever written down.
It could be a Roman numeral, or it could just be an actual.
If video games have taught me anything, it's the iPhone Cross.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. So they had this, the Big Apple conference thing, and a guy was on the show, and he did the Face ID example, and it buggered up live on stage and didn't work, which was quite unfortunate.
Excellent.
Turns out that was because someone had changed the phone, and so it wasn't his face that was loaded into it, or something like that. Anyway, so it was.
Well, that's their excuse, anyway.
Yeah. The iPhone X is a steal for £999. Really
Good grief! Yeah, £1,000 for a phone.
Although, to be fair, they did have an iPhone 8. You know, their sort of standard offering.
They did release the iPhone 8, and apparently it's been selling like crazy because obviously it will.
It's an iPhone, yeah.
Yeah.
It's another
People
iPhone.
go crazy for those things.
It doesn't really make the headlines though, like the iPhone X.
No, the iPhone X is it's their new flagship, isn't it? So their new flagship phone. So
it's weird because iPhone 8 would have been their flagship normally, but now they've got a super flagship. So it's kind of weird. Does that mean
true.
the iPhone 8 is just mid-range now?
It is strange because Apple normally only iterate in one stage at a time. They don't usually. They've done it before with the iPhone Skittles range and the gold and silver ones.
Oh yes, those colours.
I call it the Skittles range because there's the ones that were all multicolour, like all different colours.
I remember those.
But yeah.
Well, the iPhone X it's basically the £1,000 emoji machine. That was what they showed off. You being able to take a poo emoji, act out a little funny jig with your face, and it uses its facial recognition, depth sensing cameras to 3D model your face onto that poo emoji. I mean,
and then you can be a poo.
Yeah, I mean that's worth £1,000, isn't it?
I mean, I'd pay £1,000 to be a poo.
Be a poo, yeah. Although being poos isn't the only thing that has brought it to the headlines. It's Face ID technology users use to unlock the phone. It's been rubbing media the wrong way for some reason. It's like a weird safety issue. I'm confused as to why this is less safe than the facial recognition stuff that you get on other phones, or the fingerprint stuff. Surely all that's just as in the ether as your face data is.
Yeah, I guess it's because to try and see where they're coming from, I guess it's because it literally is capturing your literal face data. So it knows every contour, every detail of your face. Like you can use that data to see it from their point of view. You can use that data then to make a fake face to unlock people's phones with.
I guess so.
They're
kind of pushing it a bit. Yeah, it's a bit hard to imagine where this ends or how they.
I mean, to be honest, if you have a Facebook account, all your personal information is on the internet already.
Yeah, a different kind.
There are pictures of your face everywhere. If you've put pictures of yourself on the internet, your face is out there.
Yes.
Should I be paranoid that I unlock my Samsung phone with a fingerprint now that Samsung have my fingerprint? That doesn't really bother me.
Well, it says here on a CNET article that it's police. It's going to be one of those things that police will be able to demand that you give up, so they can get a court order to stick the phone in your face and unlock it. But that's kind of the same for the fingerprints or the retina or anything like that.
It's the same. Well, if they get a search warrant, they can demand. If they get a search warrant for your phone, they can demand that you unlock it. Whether that be via fingerprint or via face.
Well, there's there's a suggestion that you could just use a good old-fashioned password, and that way you can choose not. You can break the law some more by not complying with them. Whereas with the fingerprint and the biometric stuff, they can just grab you and force you to do it.
If they have a court order and a search warrant.
Yeah.
They can't force you to do anything against your will without a search warrant. And if you've locked it by a password, if they have a search warrant, they can force you to unlock it. Or they can just take your phone.
You make a point, though, in that this kind of gets put in the it's big news, all this stuff, just because Apple device is doing it. If it was Samsung that had the Face ID, it probably wouldn't make as big a headline.
Yeah, I mean, Samsung, you've been able to unlock your phone with your face for a while.
That's a little bit different.
Samsung, yeah, it is, but
yes, technically,
your phone is looking at your face every time, so Samsung have your face.
So,
you know,
we're all going to get hacked eventually. That's the conclusion we came to on the previous podcast.
I mean, I guess it's people who aren't. I guess people who haven't put themselves out there on the internet are the ones getting the most paranoid, because if you've got any sort of internet presence, even a minute one, all that information's already out there. So,
Yeah.
It's like if you've got a phone number, then marketing corporations have got your phone number. It's just a fact.
Yeah, you've already been hacked when you get phoned for PPI.
Exactly. I don't think it's a massive deal, to be perfectly honest. But we'll see.
So when will you be testing the old iPhone X? No doubt you'll be doing a review, right?
I'll be doing it maybe in about 30 years when I can get one for a tenner.
Ah, there you go. Watch this space.
Yeah.
By the way, anyone that's not seen the iPhone X, you've been living under a rock, basically. I think it's the most of a phone's front side that's converted to screen than any other phone that I've seen.
It's literally all screen, apart from the bits which aren't screen.
There's like a little bump at the top where all the cameras go.
Yeah, that big camera bump that covers a really annoying segment of the screen. leaving two slits of screen at either side of it in a really irritating looking manner.
I will argue that little permanent plastic chunk that's on the screen, yes, it does permanently sit there, although most TV stuff you watch automatically crops the left and right of the screen off.
It would have to.
It does that on my phone because my phone's aspect ratio is too tall for it.
It would have to. It's just looking at that screen really irritates me because of that bump.
Although it does, I'm assuming my phone offers me the choice. Obviously, that choice wouldn't exist on the iPhone because that bump would be in the way. I can crop and zoom, or just have it as black bars on the left and right.
I mean, it's to be seen yet.
Basically, the top and bottom of the video would be missing if I crop and zoom, but it does fill the whole of the screen, the tall screen.
Yeah.
This worked particularly well when watching I watched that Alien movie, and that was in widescreen anyway. So when you apply crop and zoom, all you're doing is cropping out the black bars at the top and bottom. So it actually works pretty well.
Yeah.
To use
not too bad then.
A large point of the screen. We're getting off topic a little bit there.
Yeah, I mean, and the other great thing about the iPhone is that they've made sure that a great chunk of the population will never buy one because it just still doesn't have a headphone jack.
No, yeah, it still doesn't have a headphone jack. I can't imagine
they're sticking to their guns. They're sticking to their guns on that. Yeah.
Or they'll bring out a ultimate new version of the iPhone. Got a great new surprise for you. You can actually plug in headphones. The argument there is
they might be brave enough to put it back on.
Yeah.
Like they were brave enough to remove it.
I think what they are trying to say here is that the headphones are pretty old and should be replaced with an equivalent replacement, but I don't know if they're.
No,
getting
it's
a
an
bit ahead of
analog
themselves.
technology, though.
They probably
Not
want you to
everything can
use-
be digital.
They probably want you to use wireless headphones, although still the wireless headphones have their own flaws.
Analog sound just plain sounds better than digital sound, though. It's just, I mean, they've just ensured that I'll never buy one until they put a headphone jack on it, to be honest.
Yeah, at least until they have sufficient proof that there's a replacement for them. That
Yeah, the day I buy a phone that doesn't have a headphone jack is the day that no phone available has a headphone jack,
Yeah,
basically.
we were very stubborn on the
It is
replaceable batteries for a while until they just stopped doing phones with replaceable batteries.
Yeah, that was annoying. And physical keyboards went the way of the dodo as well.
Yeah,
Never mind.
never mind. We're just getting old.
But yeah, it's the £1,000 price tag, which is the main deal breaker, I think.
Yeah, that's a lot of scratch.
Yes. Oh well.
So
neither of us will be getting an iPhone
neither
X
of us are
anytime
getting
soon.
iPhone, I'm afraid. I got a Note 8. That's as good as I'm gonna get.
Yeah, I'll stick to my
So
my
just
little Samsung
about
phone.
does it for news. I guess there was a little bit of news you had revolving around Mario. You might as well.
Yeah, I was just thought it might be interesting to bring up that Super Mario Run, that kind of lackluster, disappointing Mario game from a while back on iOS and Android, is actually getting an update on September 29th, I think. Yeah, September 29th. They're going to be adding Princess Daisy as a playable character, a new world to the game, and a new game mode called Remix 10, which randomizes parts of 10 levels
Yeah.
for a quick burst of play that is different pretty much every time, because it's randomizing 10 for parts of 10 levels.
So it's
that's-
just little chunks of levels, sort of.
Yeah, little chunks of levels sort of smooshed together into one level.
Oh.
Or is it? It's sort of. Anyway, yeah, from the information I've got, I can't tell if it's 10 levels smushed together as one level, or if it's 10 mini levels that you just quickly go between.
No, yeah, so
But,
you might just fade from one to the one. Kind of sounds
it could
a
just
little
be-
bit like, because it's like little separate bits of game. It sounds a little bit like, the World Championship cartridge that they have.
Yeah, it could be that kind of idea. Yeah,
Or that mashup
basically.
game they did.
Yeah, so they're adding those elements to the game, and to sort of get people on board, because this game didn't have the greatest attach rate when it came to purchases. Millions of people downloaded the demo. Very few of those people actually purchased the game. But to sort of sweeten it, when this new update lands, they're also halving the cost of the full game.
Oh dear. You could tell
So
that-
instead of
it's hard to get a foothold of mobile games because people are just used to having it for free.
Well, yeah, I think if it had been an outright purchase, more people may have bought it, but it came out for free. People downloaded it expecting it to be free, and when you beat the first world, there's immediately goes, right, now you've got to pay £10 to play the rest of it. And it's that £10 all at once, which is, I think, the barrier.
Yeah.
If they'd said, oh, it's £1 for World 2, and then when you beat World 2, you pay another £1 and you can get World 3, that might have been an easier sell.
Episodic sell.
But £10 all at once, was sort of, that's a lot of money. But they will be halving. I don't know if, for how long. Does it say here?
Time limited offer.
Oh, for 2 weeks. For about 2 weeks, they're halving the price of the game as of September 29th. So, if you're on the fence about Mario Run, you like it, but you didn't want to pay £10 for it, you might pay £5 for it.
Maybe.
There you go. If you get it
Would you
Get
say
it
there's
between
enough there
September
now to
29th and
entice
October
you?
12th. I might pick it up, yeah, and I'll play it, give it a bit of a review for the show, I guess.
Good.
So that, yeah, that'll be just in time for next time because the half price deal is between now and the next show. So
There we go. We'll see whatever that develops. Oh, I
Yeah,
just
so I'll-
sprung to mind Mario-related news. That a old Mario game, that Mario game isn't the only old Mario game to have received an update. Apparently, modders modded Super Mario 64. You know, the ROM. So if you're playing an
Yes.
emulator, you mod the ROM, and now it
Yep.
becomes Super Mario 64 multiplayer, which let you play with 23 other people, so it's 24 in all in the
I
Mario
didn't
64
hear about that.
world.
I
That's,
did not hear about that. That sounds
incredible,
amazing.
Well, it did sound amazing until 3 days later, Nintendo caught wind and they've cease and desist it. I think there's still ways somewhere to get a hold of this.
I was going to say that's
It's not going to go.
obviously that's running peer to peer, not on a server.
I imagine it's some kind of I think someone
It's got to be
runs.
it's
as
got to be
the
peer to peer.
host, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be hosted by. So regardless of whether Nintendo have put a cease and desist on that, that's out there on the internet now. You can get it.
Yeah, I think if you
So-
just search for it, Mario 64 online, you're bound to find
Yeah,
something.
it's like, well, it's like AM2R. Did you hear about another Metroid 2 remake?
No.
This the guys work for ages on this Metroid 2 remake, release it to the public. A couple of days later, Nintendo catches wind, cease and desist. That's officially removed from the AM2R website. It's out there on the internet now. You can get it relatively easily.
It's
Once something's on the internet, it's on the internet forever.
I'm sure that's still
Once-
out there. Technically,
as soon as-
it itself isn't breaking any rules, so they could still give that out for free. It's just when people start showing videos of it and stuff. If we did a play of it, for example, I think Nintendo might try to. take it
Nintendo
down.
would come down hard on that. Yeah, I mean, you could play it. If you tried to make a video of it, Nintendo would come down hard on that.
Yeah.
And I had to take that video down, demonetize it, whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know,
a
all
lot
these
of Mario
things...
news there at the last second.
Yeah, all these things still out there to play. I might have to...
Let's see if you can
Well-
assemble that together to try for yourself.
Yeah, it's a problem at the moment because I'm, in air quotes, between PCs. Meaning that my PC is way too old and I need a new one.
True. Anyway, you'd never find enough people to play it with.
I wouldn't find 23 other people to play it with, anyway.
But
It'd
at
have to be
very least You
randos.
could just play it with one other person and have two-player Mario 64.
Yeah, you get a 3-4 player team together.
Yeah.
Play Left 4 Dead style Mario.
I can see not only did they put players in, but extra characters like Waluigi and so you can play
I imagine
all the
yeah,
other little characters in there.
nifty. Sounds good.
Yeah,
So
that just
I
about
think
wraps
that
off
brings us to the end.
another fortnight's worth of amazing news. Although I say fortnight, we are going to be skipping a 3-week wait until the next podcast, just because it's a 5-week month, and if we didn't, we'd end up airing the podcast at the same time as all our regular content and airing nothing in the weeks in between, which would defeat the
and
point a little bit.
Our schedule is to try and release 2 of these a month.
Yeah.
So not one every 2 weeks. So we're going to be taking a week off.
You'd expect, the 15th? Today being the 24th September, so the next one will probably be on the 15th of October.
Yeah, just in time for me to pick up Super Mario Run and give that a go.
So we'll look forward to your opinion on that.
Yeah. So in the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at SMGzilla.
SMGZILLA.
Yes, at Smugzilla, SMGZILLA.
And you don't need to follow me.
Nope. You can find You know where our YouTube channel is if you listen to this right now, because it's the only place it's available. You catch all our other videos. All the other videos always go up on a Sunday, so it's pretty much every
we aim
Sunday.
For Sundays, unless we can't do it on Sunday, and then we get it
Yeah,
out just
pretty much every
as close
Sunday.
as we can. But yeah,
And the podcast goes up, whenever after we've recorded it.
yeah, we should have this one out today by looking at the clock. Alrighty.
Excellent.
And we'll see you all next time.
Have a good fortnight. Ta-ra.